Welcome to Spotlight Gulf Coast, a weekly showcase of people and events across South Mississippi. Spotlight Gulf Coast is partnered with William Carey University and sponsored by the IP Casino Resort and Spa, the Trenchard Scholarship Fund, and the Butch Ostelet Foundation.
Hi everyone, this is Todd Trenchard, Executive Director of the Baco Foundation of South Mississippi, welcoming you to another segment of Spotlight Gulf Coast right here on WXXV. Each week we're coming into your living room talking about what's going on all across our region, and we want to thank our sponsors for this generous opportunity. Today we're joined by a fashionista. She's probably don't want me to start off with that, but Cynthia Sutton, who I've known a long time, just got finished modeling in our Renaissance Runway fashion show, and of course she's the CEO of the Ocean Springs Chamber. And Cynthia, thank you for coming on. I think it's been a while. And,
it has.
You know, like I said, I've known you a long time. I knew when you first came on to the Chamber, and hearing you today, I mean, I think you were a little timid at first, and now you're like a ball of energy. It sort of feeds on itself.
Exactly. Yeah. No, I love what I do. I've been doing it for 17 years. So, I mean, in a town of Ocean Springs, it's very unique because you get to do a little bit of everything. You know, we have businesses, we have networking, we have festivals, we have all kind of things, and it's a really fun community to be a part of, from the historic preservation to the beachfront to everything that goes on. It's been really fun, and I've quite enjoyed it. I'm happy that I fell into it. I have one of my degrees is in communication, so I used to watch my former director Margaret be on TV and all of that.
Right.
And then so it's really cool to kind of be able to fall into those footsteps and keep that. I like to say that I have 15 years of knowledge in my brain plus another 30. That I got 45 years of knowledge in my brain, because she was definitely a staple in town that changed the makeup of town, and I was very happy to learn from her.
I saw her, I think, the other night, and
Really?
she was excited to be at the event. And I know your sister was also one
Yes.
of our fashionistas, and she's still with the city of Biloxi.
Yes, I mean, it's very, very cool. You know, my twin sister's at the city of Biloxi, and I'm at Ocean Springs. So we like to tell a lot of people that we have both sides of the bridge covered.
Right.
You know, we went to school to do the same kind of things, and it's really neat to see that we got to stay here on the Mississippi Gulf Coast, and we get to do things similar in sister cities.
I think I for a while, I did not know y'all were twins. I just kept saying to myself, she's everywhere, and just one of
Right.
just wearing another hat, which to me is sort of normal. Now, the Chamber of Commerce, let's start off with what maybe people don't know. It's what, right down right by the
Yes.
right down by the train track.
Yep,
And,
yep. We actually own the building that we occupy, the L&N Train Depot, which was built in 1907. So it ceased to be a train station in 1965 when we, the Chamber of Commerce, took it over and bought it, where we housed the local newspaper out of there,
Right.
some jewelry makers out of there, the famous whistle stop that used to be out of there, and now we still own the building. We house the back part of the building with the visitor center, and the Walter Anderson Family Shop, Realizations, houses the front part of the building. And I think it's perfect, because that's kind of the entrance of downtown. So the first place you go into is you go over the railroad tracks into downtown. You can see this historic building on the left, which is us. You can come in. We literally run a visitor center. So we have brochures of around town, through everything you can see and do out throughout Ocean Springs. So we get on average about 500 visitors a month who come through that visitor center in that train station. And of course we have public parking right there in a parking lot. So
Right.
why not start there and head throughout downtown?
Now, there's no city that I can think of anywhere that has the picturesque oaks going down the street.
Yes.
There in Bechtel, I mean, it's just, how could you have a better
Exactly.
sort of,
So amazing, so amazing. The tree canopy, the history of the tree canopy makes us very, very unique.
and somebody came up with, let's put some lights up there.
I was
and
about to
then, boom.
say, oh, well, you see it at Christmas time. Oh my gosh. I mean, those pictures, people like coin it as something from a Hallmark movie at Christmas time with those tree-lined oak trees. It's beautiful, and to put those lights on the Christmas trees, on the trees at Christmas time, just really shows a different way, in my opinion, to kind of like emphasize and show that we have those live oak trees, because I think a lot of people just take them for granted because they're just part of downtown, but they're part of what makes us who we are. That, you know, most of them are more than 300 years old. So, you know,
I think when I first came there, I think it was 2000, coming from Houma Gray's, first city I'd ever been in and lived at, and grew up down there on Porter Avenue and walk up and down the street.
Lucky.
It was, you know, Salvetti Brothers was there. You had the old gas station where the office is now, and you know, it was a quaint little town, and I'd heard about it because my aunt from Covington would always come over here. Of course, the Blossmans, you know, from over there.
Exactly.
And so, you know, there was some mutual, I guess, people that we knew. And then you just started seeing, I guess, unfortunately, with a bad situation, Katrina, you see it starting to change.
Exactly.
And, you know, the rest of the city, I heard it put one time, Ocean Springs was 10 feet higher than everyone else and got that jump.
Exactly. We are the highest point on the Mississippi Gulf Coast, and that's what people don't realize. We have Fort Marpole, which, you know, was the home of a fort many years ago, but we've turned it into a park, and what people don't realize is that it is the highest point on the Gulf Coast. So during Hurricane Katrina, most of our downtown businesses stayed intact. My former director lived in the train station, you know, through that storm, because it is the highest point, and we were very fortunate to have that. There was a lot of, you know, wind damage and things like that, but we were very fortunate, which helped us, our businesses, the people that live in Ocean Springs, get back and going much quicker than some other places, which helped us sustain and, you know, led to the growth that we see now.
Now you, having lived there for a while, you know, and being in business and stuff, so astute and so smart, I didn't buy any of the downtown area. I should have bought all the downtown
exactly.
Because I really had some opportunities numerous times to get in. You know,
really?
Scott Lemon and I talked about, you know, we ought to buy some of these little houses. And Lord, I mean, what has happened is just, I just went down to Walter Anderson the other day, and to see what they've put in with the cafe and across the street and
their innovative center, the way they're growing is amazing.
Unbelievable. I mean, the town really, it's a small area that has as much arts, cultural, I mean, just shopping, retail that of any place there is on the coast.
And I think that's so unique. Ocean Springs is really cool like that. It's like, you know, some people think it's getting too big for its britches kind of thing, but look what's authentic about it. The Walter Anderson Museum and how it's getting to grow into more of an innovative center. The classes that they teach, it's for the locals, it's for people that are coming through town. It's quite amazing, and that preserves our history of our arts. And just the growth that you've seen in downtown, they're all small businesses. There aren't any big box stores in downtown.
Right.
And then again, the tree-lined streets we talked about. It keeps it authentic and keeps it small. Literally, I say it's like a, you know, like a Andy Griffith type town. You can walk throughout downtown and you're saying, hey, how's the family? How's this person? You know where to shop, you know where to eat. Everything that you can do in downtown, and all those people just know each other, and everybody knows what's going on, and everybody works together, and I think that makes it really cool and really quaint and keeps that quaintness. And that's what I tell a lot of people of, you know, you think something's growing too large, or you don't like this person, or the talk of the town type things. Take a moment and just enjoy what we have. Slow down. It's quite amazing.
We're gonna have to go to a short commercial break. What other town could have your local family barber as the mayor? And I've known Bobby since the day I walked in. I think Murphy cut my hair the first time, did for 20-something years, and you know, but I want to talk about that, but I also want to talk about the awards that have been bestowed, not only with Ocean Springs, the school district. It all goes hand in hand.
Yes.
I mean, there's no separating the pieces. There's no accident by this.
Right.
I mean, it's all coming together, and you really have a town that is one of the most unique places, not here in the state, in the nation, right here in our backyard. So we're going to take a short commercial break. We're talking with Cynthia Sutton. We'll be right back. Welcome back, everyone. We're joined by Cynthia Sutton, the CEO of the Ocean Springs Chamber of Commerce. And, you know, when I first came to Ocean Springs around 2000, I think my first call back to New Orleans, I said, I'm in Mayberry. I mean, it reminded me of Mayberry. And I said, we even have a barber shop that the little thing goes around.
Still do.
Because I haven't seen that, and I think the haircut probably cost the same. It did back then. I kept saying, y'all need to really raise the prices. Everybody else is like through the roof.
You see on the weekend the line out the door?
Oh, it's, but of course, Bobby Cox, good friend, now the mayor, and he follows a list of people, and each of those mayors brought something very big to the table, and you know, you see a change, and you see it, and you get excited about what's going to happen. But if you were to be back 25 years ago driving down Ocean Springs and what you're doing today, I mean, you know, it's astounding.
It is.
I mean, it really is astounding. And you start seeing USA Today ranking Ocean Springs. You see top-rated school district in the, you know, the state. That's not an accident.
Exactly.
And so there has to be somebody in charge of this, and I know you'd like to think the Chamber of Commerce is sort of that hub.
Right. Well, you know, you've got to love where you live, and you've got to love your town. And I always try to say to be your authentic self. And the cool thing is that Ocean Springs is very authentic if you slow down and take a moment to enjoy it. Just like seeing and having Bobby Cox. He was an alderman for 13 years. He worked alongside of us at festivals at 3 a.m. in the morning, 4 a.m. in the morning, and helping us make the town what it is today, at the same time of working his generations of family through the barbershop, and now he's the mayor. And I love when he gets up and speaks, and he literally makes a reference that he is just a good old barbershop boy. And to me, that helps that authenticity of our town. It helps tell the story of who we are and what we love of our town. And that goes on through the awards that our town has won. You know, we try to make sure that we try to look for things that fit Ocean Springs, as in awards and coverage and stories. I mean, next year we're going to be in Coastal Living magazine. We were just featured in Southern Living magazine. There's so many things that we do help pitch the stories to, and we do help garner the awards, like the 2022 award that we still take. USA Today is the best small town in the entire United States. We won that as the best town in the entire United States.
Right.
That took a lot of work to do, to get out there, remind people to vote, to remind people to get out there. We were out there at the Fresh Market passing out flyers with QR codes. You just really, if you love your town, you really love what you can do for your town, such as winning those awards, you know, from the Great American Main Street Award that we won in 2013, which was a big staple of time frame and the change of our town. So it's been really cool.
I think that, you know, I'll go back to where I really started after Katrina, and Connie was so adamant on certain things staying in place, you know, with the big bridge, and held her own on making that be the entryway, but also the importance of the trees, the importance of the facades, and everything being cleaned up. and then we're going to put up with, you know, just any rinky-dink shop. So every business had to go through a process to get it, and they held to it. And of course, at the time, that's unheard of. You can't do that. But this is the end result. Because if you have everybody doing their own little thing, you know, now you've got something that there's a process, and it's such a dramatic change from what you're seeing. And I think more and more coastal cities are seeing that and following that process. And that's what you hope they would do, but that is where it really started. You know, you had certain regulations that were put into play, and I'm sure they're still in play today.
And it's about sustainability. You know, I mean, if your town looks good, if your town is uniform, beautification is a big thing sometimes. Sometimes city folks don't always agree with that, but in the end they come around. Beautification helps make a town what it is, and these things and these regulations from beautification, from the facade grant. You know, we had the facade grant back in 2008, and we weren't able to get that funded or partnered until 2 years ago, thank you to Mississippi Power and the United Way. So we were able to bring that back, and this last year, we had over 30 applicants, downtown, uptown, all around town, that just applied to update their facade. And what all that is that same thing, just that sustainability, those regulations look a certain way. And any business that comes into town, we're also the marketing arm of the city. So one of the cool things that we do is we try to make sure that we meet with any local business or person who's wanting to come into town, and we have a really good partnership with the city in that vein, whereas we sit down with them and we kind of coach them on what's going to work, what's not going to work, as in marketing wise, to help them. It's up to them whether they choose to follow that or not, but to help that sustainability. And I think that stems all the way back, like you said, from Connie Moran's days as being the mayor, of just that passion, that drive, that look, that aesthetic, that system that you just kind of keep going with to make your community grow, but at the same time preserving what you can to keep it the way that it is. And I think we've done a really good job of keeping our small town charm. You know, a lot of people think, like I said, it's gotten too big, but really it's, you know, it's one of the most walkable communities in the nation.
It is,
you know?
And I'd certainly attest to that, and I do get to travel a little more than the average bear up and down the region. On the next segment, we're going to talk about your largest festival, obviously probably one of the largest, you know, in the country again, you know, Peter Anderson Festival. But Ocean Springs is unique for having those type of events where they shut down the streets and they are able to, you know, get the cooperation of business owners, and you work out the kinks, you listen to their concerns, you try to adapt to it. I remember one time I took a bus from the Mary C to a graveyard. And I was like, that's the craziest thing I ever seen, but I mean, it was so cool. You couldn't do that anywhere.
Right.
So,
I mean, if we can think of it, we'll turn it into an event.
all right, we're going to take a short commercial break. We're talking about Ocean Springs with Cynthia Sutton, so don't touch that remote. We'll be right back. Welcome back, everyone. We're talking with Cynthia Sutton, the CEO of the Ocean Springs Chamber of Commerce. And Cynthia, I was talking as we went to the break, you know, about you know, the graveyard sort of tour. I remember what we call an art walk. Back when I first came here, you always had the little you know, plant sales. They're always out there. You'd always have something right in front of the train depot there, for as long as I can remember. And then I can remember working Peter Anderson way back then in a Coca-Cola truck for Rotary. and we would sell,
Yes,
you know,
you
little
did.
Coca-Colas and
Yes. You guys had the exclusive rights on Coca-Cola back then.
yeah.
At that
And
festival.
we had a little. I mean, one time it rained, and we were still doing our little. But you know, that festival has grown into one of the, you know, sort of, I guess, weekend. I mean, something like a jazz and heritage festival.
Exactly.
Where people come in, and it's always, for the most part, I think you choose the first week in November because it's generally, according to the almanac, the best weekend
Right.
for weather.
Well, I hope so, because this year it's going to be November 8th and 9th due to the air show.
Yeah.
But yes, it's always the first weekend in November, and it literally has been coined, thanks to some of the art magazines and things like that. It is one of the top 50 festivals in the United States. So that's a hard thing to accomplish, and it's really cool to have because it's a lot of work. I like to tell people that in my version, it's it's our own Disney World, that you don't get to see what goes all behind the scenes, how long it takes to plan it, and but our goal is to make everybody happy, and anything that goes wrong we kind of keep hidden behind the scenes. But we literally spend 10 months out of the year planning the Peter Anderson Arts and Crafts Festival. As soon as we get done with this one, we're working on the Spring Arts Festival and Peter Anderson Festival at the same time.
I know a lot of the people that come to that festival, I see a lot of changing of business cards, and some of those vendors will be taking, you know, their works to other places. I've met quite a few of the top artists, you know, in the region at the Peter Anderson, and you know, you see some things that you're not going to see anywhere else, and then you know, I think that the crowd control is amazing for the amount of people. You got 500,000 people coming, converging in on this isn't New Orleans.
Exactly. I can't say thank you enough to our police, to our fire, to our public works. You know, it's really cool. We are called a festival town. That's our bread and butter. Everyone has a niche, and our niche are festivals. We put on 14 festivals a year, and then have a hand in half a dozen more that are put on throughout the year. And our police, fire, public works, city folks, it just runs like clockwork. You know, we all know what we're doing. We've all done this for so many years, and I'm very fortunate to have that team. And it's really neat to see how the Peter Anderson Festival itself, that's presented by Blue Moon National. You know, we have local distributors, FEB Distributing, who are locally Blue Moon, but I'm so thankful that they work with their national company to bring things to us. Like this year, we're going to have an activation area where you can paint a pint. You know, the festival has grown so large. There's so many things to do that there's more than 400 vendors over those 2 days that come from all over the United States. It's quite amazing.
I know that I have stayed up all night, you know, down on Government Street, and you know, just walk the streets and painting in the lines, and seeing how it.
Come join us in a few weeks for
It's
that.
amazing though that you're able to not only set that up, but then to tear it down, and then really by Monday, you know, it wasn't there.
Right.
I mean, that is quite an accomplishment, and
you should see the small team. It takes almost 200 people to pull that festival off, and we're very fortunate to have Keesler Air Force Base. They are 1/3 to almost half of our team that helps us put that on.
Yeah, and that's a great cause for them to get involved in the community, and I saw that they were being utilized, and that you know, we need to think more about the military and how they can help, because they want to. They're looking for, you know, things like that.
And they're so good at that.
Now, this year, would you say you had 400 vendors? How many of those are, say, artists that come in? Or is there, did the artists register? Or,
So basically there's a process. We use an online software called Zapplication, which is a national artist application process. So that's viewed by almost 80,000 artists along the United States that can actually apply to our show. So we narrow that down. There's a jury committee, and narrow that down to 400 artists and crafters that come, and then we have about 20 food vendors. And we only have so much footprint that we're selling air to so much space, so we only can get so many vendors. But yeah, they are all artists, crafters, and food vendors from around the United States. So we have on average 400 of those, which makes about 400 to 450 vendor booths. And then we have a food court in the Miners parking lot, and we've had it for the last couple of years. We put a big screen up, so of course
Right.
the NFL football games are on for the weekend. So as the women go shop, they can go get something to eat and watch the football games. But these artists come from all over, and 1/3 are repeats. Some people think there's more than that, but it's about on average 1/3 are repeat artists that just have that high quality, and the jury committee just, they know how to apply to festivals. They know what to submit.
Right.
And we love having some of those back. But I'll have to tell you, you'll have to check the Peter Anderson Festival Guide, which is inside of South Mississippi Living magazine.
Right.
You'll have to check some of the articles that are in there. This year we have a really cool artist that literally used to be a lion tamer in a circus, and the wife used to be an acrobat, and they teamed up, and now they make art, and it's actually on the cover of the Peter Anderson Festival magazine is the lion that they paint. It's really cool to see the different kind of folks that are part of that festival. We have a lion tamer and an acrobatic person who's literally just sitting there making art for
Right.
people to enjoy.
Yeah, so Michael will appreciate that little shout out, with South Mississippi Living. He probably, if I show him that one little clip, he'd be like, "Wait, what?" But it takes a lot
We
of your
enjoy that
community
partnership.
coming, and you do need to get the word out. And the magazine actually comes out the week before, so you'll be able to look at that. Well, I appreciate you coming on. What are those dates again on
So
Peter
the
Anderson?
Peter Anderson Festival is November 8th and 9th, 9 to 5 p.m. both days in downtown Ocean Springs, which is a Saturday and Sunday. Website, peterandersonfestival.com. To figure out all the traffic, we have a wonderful partnership with Coast Transit Authority and YMCA to park and ride to get you conveniently to the entrances.
Yeah, so you can park, and they do have rides.
Yep, and then we're a golf cart community, so we also have downtown golf carts that you can just hop on a cart for a donation, and they'll take you right to the entrance as well.
Appreciate it. This has been very informative. I appreciate all that you've done. I mean, you're a 90-0 fireball, and again, thank you for
Love it.
once again being a fashionista.
That was fun.
Yeah, I know. It was
I
fun.
enjoyed it for a great cause. It was amazing.
Well, we
Amazing.
appreciate it.
Thank you.
Appreciate your support. We appreciate everybody's support of the Bacon Foundation of South Mississippi. And until next time, this is Todd Trenchard saying so long, and may God bless.